The Cincinnati Bearcats and the Temple Owls battle in the semifinals with a chance to punch their ticket in the 2019 inaugural American Athletic Conference Women's Lacrosse Championship game. They know they'll play the Florida Gators if they can get there. Two teams that have had good seasons, including the Bearcats at home. They have won 9 games in a row. First semifinal featured Florida and Vanderbilt. The Gators with a 19-10 victory. They played very well, 11 points from Sydney Pereka, and they are waiting in the wings for the winner of this one. Good evening, everybody, here on the American Digital Network. I'm Brendan Gulick alongside Mike Walensky. Rich Heidi is down on the sideline, and he'll join us shortly. This has been a fun weekend because we've got 4 really good teams that are going to compete for a title this weekend. Florida is the favorite, but these Bearcats knew that this was a possibility all year. They had a chance to play at home no matter what seed they came out with, and here they are, the 2 seed in the tournament.
And they have a chance to be able to compete at home on their turf in terms of the Bearcats on this field. This is the first time for this ball club, so they're going to be really excited to be here tonight. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, they haven't played here in a couple of years at this particular facility. Let's dive into our keys to the game. First, for the Temple side, they've got to try to keep Cincinnati off the scoreboard early on and stay focused.
There's no doubt about it. Bonnie Rosen, a veteran coach at Temple, talked about her team needing mental focus in this. She underestimated her team. She thought they maybe were a little bit better, a little bit more veteran, but they're younger, but they've matured and developed, and the key has been their goalkeeping. Lowell has been really good in goal for them, and also Monica Barzillo is an outstanding player, leading the team in scoring with over 100 points this season.
Barzillo plays with her hair on fire. She is absolutely incredible, plays for the Cincinnati Bearcats. They've got to try to find a way to stop her. On the Cincinnati side, this is a team that's very much peaking at the right time of the year.
There's no doubt about it. Now, Gina Carter and her, is the head coach of this program, recognizes the fact that this team is on the rise. She knows that this could be a breakthrough season for the UC Bearcats. And they have done so statistically throughout the year. And they have a number of people who have achieved American Conference status now. So from that standpoint, they need to utilize their speed. If they can do that in today's match with the Temple Owls, they have a chance to move on and compete with the Florida Gators. The advantage, they get to defend their home field. As we talked about, it's the first opportunity they've had to compete on this field. I'm sure it will be very exciting for their kids, and momentum is important. We know fast starts will be important tonight.
Let's dive into our key players. First for Temple, Marin Lowell. You started to touch on her. She needs to have a big night.
She does. She is an outstanding player. And what Coach Rosen talked about is the fact that she's improved dramatically over the course of the year, now puts them in a position to compete. And all these players have learned a great deal, and now they're ready to vie for a championship here in Cincinnati.
Meanwhile, Gina Thomas has some terrific players, but Kylie Noss, as a freshman, has maybe taken most of the spotlight other than from Barzillo.
She's added 2 game-winning goals to her resume this year as a freshman. She ranks 3rd on the team in scoring, and she's etched her name in the season by outstanding play, and she's going to be a real top performer in today's match for the Bearcats.
So the Florida Gators waiting next. It's Temple and Cincinnati in semifinal number 2. Come on back to Cincinnati when we return on the American Digital Network.
Scores 3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30.
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Here this evening, facing off against Temple. University of Cincinnati 4-1 in conference play, the best season in program history. This coaching staff named the coaching staff of the year. This team 9-1 at home and #1 in the country with 29 ground balls per game. Now on the other side for Temple, 6-10 coming into this game, but they've won 2 in a row, including an 11-6 victory over Vanderbilt. This is a Temple team that needs to get it going. Bonnie Rosen in her 13th season, a 2010 inductee into the U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Fame, guys. Should be a good contest here this evening.
Yeah, this game is absolutely loaded with good storylines. We'll get into them along the way as you get a look at the Temple starting lineup. We talked about Marin Lowell in goal, but they need Maddie Giebert up top to try and get them going offensively.
They certainly do, and they were a team that lost earlier this year 12-9 to Cincinnati, so I think we're going to see a possession-type game and should be awfully close as we move forward. Lowell will be key in goal for Coach Bonnie Rosen's club.
But on the Cincinnati Bearcats side, under head coach Gina Thomas, who's got this team clicking on all cylinders, Sam Milkby and Monica Borzillo. Holy smokes, do they score a lot of goals.
And I have to apologize to Coach Thomas because I called her Gina Carter in the open. And the reason why is Gina Thomas was an All-American Ohio State, and I was thinking of All-American Chris Carter from Ohio State. So Coach Thomas's team, I think the key here is Sam Milkby. Reason why? Because draw controls will be very important. And in the first matchup of the season, Cincinnati won that battle 15-8. So if Milkby can have the kind of a performance tonight that she had earlier in the year to control the ball, then the Bearcats have a chance to move on and play the Gators.
Of course, you saw on the defensive line there in the back, the Fess triplets, Adriana, Alexandra, and Amanda. Not only are they identical triplets, they wear numbers 19, 20, and 21. They are next to impossible to tell apart outside of the numerical differences, but boy, they have been really good for the Bearcats this year. And of course, this is a little bit of a strange setting in that the Cincinnati Bearcats were not the regular season champions, but this was a predetermined venue for the first ever American Athletic Conference Championship. And so Cincinnati knew all year long, hey, it may not have been a great start for them, but if they could rally and get in the conference tournament, they had a chance to play at home, even though they weren't the regular season champs.
This is a big move for the Bearcats here, and they're a team on the rise. We talked about Coach Thomas and her thoughts about this program. She believes that this school has the total package, and obviously take a look at the facility here. Is it absolutely gorgeous?
Just about ready for the opening draw. You're going to look there at Coach Thomas. We showed you Bonnie Rosen earlier. 2 coaches who have exceptionally high accolades, although I think Gina Thomas might have a little bit of the upper hand, having won a couple of World Cups. But they have their teams trying to play their best lacrosse at the end of the season. Off we go. The winner plays Florida, 1 o'clock on Saturday for the conference championship. Temple back in the postseason for the first time in 2 years after they missed last year's conference championship tournament. But they were in the Big East tournament 2016 and 2017. They made the championship game in 2016. And Cincinnati, as you referenced, having the best year in program history. Nice to see the Bearcats starting to build things. It all started with a win over San Diego State on March 22nd. The only blemish on their record since then, a loss to Florida in the regular season finale. But other than that, they had been really good through the end of March and through basically all of April. And with the exception of stubbing their toe against the Gators, they're hoping that this could be a memorable weekend for them here on their home turf. Early shot and an early goal. That was a pretty impressive shot and score by Olivia Thompson.
Great job by Olivia Thompson, number 21, a 5'8" junior out of Eldersburg, Maryland, played at Liberty High School, and she turned that one off of her right shoulder and dropped it by the keeper, number 40, Juliana Durst. It's 1-0.
So the Temple Owls strike first. Probably gives them a little bit of confidence after having come to Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago and having fallen to the Bearcats 12-9.
On the attack, Maddie Giebert did a nice job for Temple distributing the ball. She's a 5'7" junior out of Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
So Temple strikes first. There's Coach Rosen. Well, you always like it when you can score about a minute into the game. Obviously off to a good start, but a lot of lacrosse to go. Draw controls, something that these Temple Owls throughout the course of the year have been okay on. About middle of the pack in the country, 47.5% controlling the draws.
And interesting, Bridget Whitaker plays fast and then gets it back to Maddie Giebert.
Their biggest strength is that they don't commit a lot of fouls. 9th in the country in fouls per game. They defend hard, but most of the time they're able to do it legally. It can be a little frustrating mentally as the game wears on. You're the Cincinnati Bearcats. Rich Heide talked about it earlier. #1 in the country out of 120 schools with 29 ground balls per game. This Bearcat team is ridiculously aggressive. Temple almost puts one down low, just barely kicked away there by Juliana Durso.
He had some help on the backside by one of the Fest sisters, Amanda Fest, number 21. They all went to Christian Brothers Academy.
Nintende dishes it off. Shot clock did reset, so we're still at 70 seconds here for Temple. Owls close the year with a couple of wins. One over East Carolina as the flag comes out, and now play stops. Yeah, one win over East Carolina, who did not qualify for the tournament, and a win in the regular season finale at Vanderbilt, where the Commodores were then put in the 4 seed. Temple earned the 3rd seed in this tournament. The Bearcats lost their regular season finale to be the 2 seed. Florida, the top seed. Free position denied by Durso and picked up by Fess. That's Alexandra Fess.
As you mentioned, yes, as you mentioned, nice job by Durso. Benintendi, number 24, left-handed, the 5'5" senior, got it on the ground, and Durso did a good job using her stick to pick it up. Big stop for by the Bearcats.
Cincinnati looking for its first offensive possession and having trouble getting up the field successfully is Kylie Noss. Pulls it on that right side into a double and flicks it away. Talked about her at the outset. Haven't talked too much yet about Monica Borzillo. And while Noss has deserved some of the high praise, this team starts with Monica Borzillo offensively.
No doubt about it. As I mentioned, she has over 100 points this year. She's an outstanding scorer.
Well, Bearcats mishandle one right in front of the cage.
Nina Hine did a nice job defensively for Temple, number 31, riding the player away from the goal. Here come the Owls.
In the meantime, it's a very comfortable evening. 72 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. There was a chance of rain in the forecast this evening, and it looks like that might have been pushed back. So we are hopeful that we'll have a dry evening. It might rain overnight, but shouldn't disrupt this evening's semifinal. Great save by Durso on a laser shot from Benintendi.
Great job by Durso in the first match. They had just 6 saves. Temple could only come up with 9 scores.
Bearcat student section getting into it.
Yeah, definitely the home crowd adds energy out here.
Bearcats in white, Owls in their crimson tops. Oh, great screen opens up Noss, who spins, shoots, and scores.
That was the difference. Her spin move there got her some space from the left side. The 5'11" freshman, she is the tallest player on the field now in the American Championships here in Cincinnati. Great job by Noss.
Not much that Marin Lowell could have done to stop that one. And an early goal for the 2019 Conference Freshman of the Year.
In the first matchup between these two teams, Cincinnati had 26 shots on goal, Temple just 15.
That was definitely a defensive-minded game. By the way, our officials, Jessica Seamate, Randy Booth, Kristen Demura, and Joel Stein, officiating tonight's semifinal. ready for the draw control. You know, on one hand, you're naturally kind of expected to think that as the higher seed, the Bearcats would be the favorite. And they beat Temple in the regular season. They're playing well of late. But I think this Owls team is really relishing the chance to be here after losing a close game at UC just a couple weeks ago. A chance to come here in the conference tournament. I think it's kind of fired them up.
It has, and I think they feel like they're the developing team. They're the surprise team of this group here. And certainly they come here with not so much pressure. Can play loose.
Well, can't have mistakes like that. And it's pulled away by the Bearcats. It's Alyssa Adams, sophomore from York, Pennsylvania. Scoops it up. Here comes Morgan Dukes. Adriana Fess working in the middle. Bearcats are methodical in the way they want to come up the field. When they get a chance, they're one of the more aggressive teams in the country. You can start to see the sunset peaking on that left side of the field. Most of the field is in the shadows. Another job well done by Lowell. I would think that after a little while here, it really won't be much of an issue for either one of the keepers, especially Lowell on that end. Temple and Cincinnati just underway here early in the first half. Bearcats team that started off the season with a lopsided loss against the Ohio State Buckeyes, the alma mater of their head coach. Then they went up a little further north and played Kent State, the Golden Flashes. Actually, I beg your pardon, I think that game was here at home. They played Kent State here at home and able to beat them 19-8 and took it to Marquette, and that was a turning point for them because the last few years Marquette's kind of had their number. Beating Marquette, I think, really gave them a belief early in the season that this could be a good year for Cincinnati.
That's all you need is a belief. Now they've got to play defense here.
Shot clock really winding down. Good shot and a slow trundling in goal. Wow.
Amanda Fest, I think number 21.
Well, Thompson scored it for Temple.
Okay.
Fest might have been kind of in a tough spot there in the middle.
Let's take a look at this one. Good job of moving the ball around.
So Thompson puts Temple up front 2-1.
Looking at the UC roster there. Olivia Thompson slips it through as Fess is number 21. Good call, Brendan.
So Thomas comes back to the middle of the field. Got a whole set of note cards there and decides which play she wants to call. Draw controls can be so important. That was a great check. Temple almost came away with it. Sam Milkvey for the Bearcats helps bring it over. This is Borzillo. Napolitano behind the cage. Gianna from Hillsborough, New Jersey. Anyways, kind of going through the Bearcats season. We talked with Gina about kind of the way the season unfolded and how they have either met or exceeded some of their expectations as Borzillo draws the foul, and she'll have a free position coming. And she was pretty well aware of the fact the team started 4-5, and maybe it didn't go the way that they had hoped in the first half of the year. But then all of a sudden, ripping off 9 wins in a row, you start to build a lot of confidence late in the season. And this young lady is a huge reason for that as Borzillo ties the game at 2.
Tremendous player. Great shot by Brazillo, her 58th goal this season. 102 points.
Bearcat fans loving it. Another look.
Good job, comes over the right shoulder on the far post. Temple a little bit late on the help there. And when the score is tied at 2.
Campus has been buzzing today in Cincinnati because it's graduation weekend. And I imagine that the Cincinnati faithful are enjoying the opportunity to host this year's championship. I don't think Gina Thomas's team ever feels like they're out of it. I don't know if they take on the mentality of their head coach. That's for sure. Of course, Borzillo, we talked about a little bit, having earned some first-team all-conference recognition. That's a tripping call in the middle of the field as Whitaker went head over heels. Monica Borzillo, Kylie Noss, both first-team all-conference attackers. Sam Milkvey was first-team all-league in the midfield. Morgan Dukes, first-team all-conference as a defender. And then on the second team, Amanda Donovan, Adriana Fess, Juliana Durso. Cincinnati well represented in that regard. Maddie Giebert for the Temple Owls has had a terrific offensive season. She was a first-team all-league selection. They kind of need her offensive leadership down here on this end of the field. Karen Akrasius on the defensive end, first-team all-league. Bridget Whitaker, recognized first-team all-conference in the midfield, and Temple ties it up. Good quick shot and a goal from Amber Lambeth.
Senior out of Harleyville, Pennsylvania. Great job of sharing the ball there.
You know, I beg your pardon, that was actually Megan Hoffman that scored.
Megan Hoffman, number 22, the junior, 5'9". Temple blessed with a lot of tall players in their lineup, and they are really doing a good job moving the ball.
Well, they're certainly going to try to wear down the Cincinnati defense. It wants to quickly get the ball up the field the other way, as opposed to Vanderbilt and Florida, who we saw in that first game play much faster. These teams, much slower pace. More on that. Let's go down to Rich Heide. Working through some technical difficulties. Apologize for that. Anyways, the Cincinnati and Temple sides, they'll be aggressive when they want to, but they prefer to play at a more direct and slightly slower pace.
Alyssa Adams making a nice run there for Cincinnati, number 30.
So the Bearcats settle in. Almost 10 minutes in. So far, these two teams have been pretty evenly matched. Bearcats have been outshot 6-2, but only outscored by 1 goal, and no longer. Nice cutting action and a Cincinnati goal from Alyssa Adams.
Alyssa turned it on earlier in the possession to get the crowd rolling there. 5'7" sophomore out of York, Pennsylvania, notches this one up at 3. Switches to the right side, fires it home, bingo.
Adams gets her stick back, the goal's good. All tied at 3 apiece. We've learned that the majority of the student section is the Bearcat baseball team is getting ready to host East Carolina this weekend. You know, college baseball players are known for being a loud, boisterous group. And this Bearcat baseball group certainly fits that mold. It's almost appropriate, right? Baseball players and lacrosse players and certainly hockey players are probably known for being the most superstitious, maybe the craziest of the student athletes. So Cincinnati ties it up at 3 with some good fan support behind him. All right, I think we've got things worked out. Let's try to go back down to Rich Heide.
Hey, thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Temple coming in with just 10 goals per game on the season, already with 3 in this one, knotted up. It's been quite the contested matchup so far, but for UC, everything is on the line. No NCAA tournament appearances. Monica Borzillo, 4 games with 6 or more goals. They're going to hope she can turn it on. And then also Kylie Naus. We talked about her, but she's extremely physically imposing, standing in there at 5 feet 11 inches, and she just seems to be able to create space wherever she is.
Well, this Bearcat team, you started to reference the lack of NCAA tournament appearances. It's definitely a goal for the team, but they recognize they can't get too far ahead of themselves. You got to stay locked in on what's in front of you. The most important game is the next game. Tough check by Fess, and she's going to get called for a foul.
Good ball movement by...
Fans don't like it.
Yep. You got to give the Owls a lot of credit there for keeping this thing hot. They really did a good job of distributing the ball, and there's a foul right there. Number 19, Adriana Fess, knocking the opposition down.
Fess is pretty feisty. If you're going to get past her, you earn it. That's for sure. By the way, the shot clock's at 30 here for Temple. Work behind the cage. Great pass in front, but it's bobbled. Oh my goodness, Maddie Giebert couldn't have had a more point-blank look. But the Bearcats forced her not to catch that one very cleanly. Whitaker exchanges passes with Benintende. Comes back to Giebert. Owls had a fresh shot clock to work with, so plenty of time here. 63 on the clock at the moment. Approaching 18.5 minutes left in the first half. Loose in the crease. Finally smothered by Durso, and the Bearcat defense holds.
Unfortunately, a tough pass inside by Amber Lambeth, number 20 for Temple. She threw it away. She got a little bit overzealous there. Cincinnati trying to clear.
Temple gets into their ride, even though the pass was bobbled in the field. Bearcats had enough players there to scoop it up. Borzillo says, "Give it to me." Goes back to the middle of the pitch. All right, 12 minutes in. Both teams have had some chances, and frankly, there's been some times where things have looked a little sloppy, but that's kind of the nature of these two teams. They're aggressive defensively, try to make you uncomfortable. Each team with 3 goals. The Bearcats haven't missed 3 goals, 3 shots on goal, 3 total shots. Foul comes out. On the other side, Durso's made 4 saves and has looked pretty good. So everybody fighting for positioning now on the free position shot attempt.
Naus.
Kylie Naus makes it 4-3 Bearcats.
Right on top of the left shoulder of the keeper. And the Bearcats have taken the lead. Nice look there.
Kylie Naus, we touched on it earlier, the freshman of the year in the conference, but I think I'm most impressed by the fact that, you know, everybody says this time of the year freshmen aren't freshmen anymore. I think it really applies to the way Kylie plays. She's got a high-level IQ for lacrosse, but there's a certain calmness about the way she physically imposes herself in the game. You would think that someone that has her size and yet her inexperience at the collegiate level might be a little timid in certain places. Not Kylie.
Not Kylie. A lot of confidence for this young freshman. Again, Milkby, nice draw control here.
Well, the Bearcats take it. It's Alyssa Adams. Goes right toward the cage with it. Pulls it behind. Borzillo passes behind her. Great spin move and finish. Sam Milkby makes it 5-3 Cincinnati.
Sweet job by Milkby getting right inside of number 23. Wait, hold on for a minute.
I think they waved off the goal. They said Milkby crossed over the top of the circle. Can't step inside. And so Milkby's great goal was waved off. Perhaps it was such a good goal because she stepped over the line.
Over the line.
So the Bearcats still lead 4-3. About halfway through the first half, and at this point, the game's been going on for a little while, and so all the you know, the nervous energy, whether it's actually nervousness or just the butterflies, the anxiety of playing in a tournament. Temple hasn't been here in a couple years. Cincinnati has not had a great history in postseason conference tournaments. By this point in the game, you kind of have to, you know, have that washed free and focus on the, you know, the play in front of you.
Again, we saw that in the first game where there was a period of time where we thought that both teams kind of settled in. And as you pointed out, they're doing that right now. I'm really impressed by Temple's movement. They're doing a really good job on the offensive end, although they have to be careful. They've had a tendency early on here to turn this one over.
Good pass in front. The Bearcats swarm her defensively, and illegally so. Amber Lambeth absorbed that contact, and she'll have an 8-meter free position. Fans on both sides arguing for their team to have received the call. Everybody finds their hashes. Lambeth.
Wow.
Puts it in, ties it up at 4.
Wow, went over right over the top on the right side. As you saw, number 21 for Cincinnati, Amanda Fest, came flying in. That is fearless play by number 21. Or number 20, Amber Lambeth.
I'm going to guess that those...
She was pushed from behind, too.
I'm going to guess those are Amber's parents. Good camera work by our production crew.
Jade Sains, number 29 for Cincinnati, right before she shot it, pushed her in the back, but she came through and fired it home.
Amber is from Harleysville, Pennsylvania. She's a kinesiology major at Temple. Last year, 21 goals and 5 assists. Here in 2019, her goal ties the game at 4 apiece. She's trying to help her team get to the conference championship game for the second time since 2016. Lambeth with her 16th goal of the year. All right, on a false start, the Bearcats take it. Borzillo up ahead. Napolitano. Working it around the outside. Milkvey denied. Back to Borzillo, who was wide open, but a long way away.
Cincinnati a little bit more careful in their approach offensively. Still doing a good job of moving the ball around, keeping it hot.
Donovan couldn't get free from Whitaker. So Donovan brings it up top. Shot clock's at 45. Noss finally getting involved. Borzillo protecting the ball. Shoots low and a kick save. A beauty by Lowell. But the Bearcats keep it with a fresh clock. So the Temple defense has to refocus here.
Speaking of defense, Nina Hines 5'5", and she was on top of Noss there as 5'11".
Oh, great little move by Milkvey. Turns into an opening, a shot, and she takes advantage. Well done by Sam Milkvey. 5-4 Bearcats.
Milkvey with their 31st goal of the season. The 5'6" junior from Berlin, New Jersey. Nice little move there. Comes around, turns the corner, fires. A little bit late reaction by the goalkeeper, number 1, Marilyn Lowell. Marilyn Lowell, the junior, 5'5", but boy, Sam Milkvey, tough shot.
As best I can tell, the Bearcats keep attacking stick side on Lowell. They haven't necessarily forced her to go back to her right. Her natural position is for her to hold the opening in her net over her left shoulder. And they've still tried to attack her on that side, which is a little interesting, but they found some success doing it.
And that's a plus for Cincinnati in this one. That was a big goal on top, 5-4.
Several of the Cincinnati goals have come on the right half of the offensive end.
Lambeth did a nice job on draw control, but here comes the Bearcats.
That's just fabulous play in the midfield. Amanda Donovan, when you're a midfielder, you got to play on both sides, and you better be locked in all the way around. And Donovan playing some defense there very nicely. Finally gives it up. This is where Cincinnati could try to make it hurt a little bit. They've got some momentum. They've had lengthier possessions, and they've scored 3 of the last 4 goals. Remember, at one point, Temple did lead this game 3-2. Borzillo. Now Milkvey. She had an opening. Donovan flashed through the middle. Instead, a handoff to Noss.
Yeah, and earlier there, Cincinnati had the goalkeeper screened. Didn't take a shot at it.
Another shot on the left post, or I should say on the left hip of Marin Lowell, shooting on the right half of the cage. That one came up empty. Milkvey. Makes a wide pass to Noss. Kylie brought it in, then bobbled it. Lacrosse, well done, picks up the ground ball, and Temple can take a big exhale here.
Aaron Lacrosse, 5'1", defender out of Garnett Valley, PA.
Well, that's what the Bearcats do best, isn't it?
Yeah, they
pick up
turn
ground
you over.
balls and turn you over all game long. Timeout on the field. And I believe it's called by the Cincinnati Bearcats. So 5-4 UC on top. 12:46 left in the first half. Obviously, this game we expected to be a tight game, right? It was the first time around. And this rhythm and flow of the game is it's been a little odd, but it's kind of resembled that first game of the year. Neither team should feel like they've run away with things here, but UC has a small upper hand at the moment. Back down to the field, we go down to Rich Heide.
Hey, thanks so much, Brendan and Mike. You talk about both of these teams in the tournament drought. Temple hasn't reached the NCAA tournament since 2008. University of Cincinnati never reaching the tournament. This Cincinnati team was red hot. We talked a little bit about that home record of 9-1, but before that, lost to Florida by the score of 25-6. This Cincinnati team had won 8 games in a row. Temple, meanwhile, with the hot streak lately, but Cincinnati's efficiency scoring-wise, not too many shots. They've been very patient. 5 goals to show for it on just 6 shots. We'll see if they can keep that up. But Cincinnati finally with some momentum and with that lead as the number 2 seed.
Well, the Bearcats enjoying that home field advantage, Rich, and they're hoping that perhaps that can help be a catalyst for them as they try to punch their way to an NCAA tournament appearance. If Cincinnati's going to win this tournament, what do they need to do really well?
Well, first of all, they have to win tonight.
Thanks.
So that's the first thing they've got to do. But the second thing is they've got to win the draw controls. And Milkvey's been 50-50 here tonight. In fact, I've been impressed by Temple and number 20. I think it's number 20. Is it Lambeth?
Yep.
Yeah, Amber Lambeth has done really well with draw controls. I think this year she came into the match with 45 draw controls, and she shared that responsibility with Whitaker. But if they can control that draw control and then slow down the tempo, anything can happen. I mean, but you got to do it right here. You got to do the draw control place, obviously, in order to get into position to control the tempo, control the game. But right now, I think Temple still is right in there.
The little guy was enjoying his popcorn. I wonder if he's going to bring us any. All kidding aside, we also showed you a picture of Andy O'Leary, the head coach for the Florida Gators, whose team has already clinched a spot in Saturday's championship game. There's Coach O'Leary. I'm sure her phone's probably blowing up. Hey, congrats, Coach. Great win. All kidding aside, she is such a wonderful lady, and we were thrilled to have a chance to talk to her at length earlier this week about the success of her team. In fact, I caught her briefly between games and asked her about the play of Sydney Pareca and what most impressed her. She just looked at me. She goes, I literally want the ball on her stick all the time. Scored 11 points and had an unstoppable game. Well, for good reason. She said this was the 78th game of Pareka's career. And she said, quote, without question, it was the best I've ever seen her. Well, that's pretty high praise for someone as talented as Pareka. And Borzillo's got a free position coming here.
That's a great sign for the Gators to have a player of that nature play at this level, because chances are she can put back-to-back showings, and they have a chance to move on and win a championship here.
Cincinnati trying to string something together here. Looking for another on the offensive end. Borzillo does it better than anyone else. She scores again with Necratius all over her. 6-4 Bearcats.
It's been a physical lacrosse match here tonight at University of Cincinnati. Big time goal by the Bearcats here. Over the left shoulder of the goalie. And a nice shot there, finishing by number 9, Monica Borzillo. 103 points on the season now.
Yeah, her 59th goal of the year. She scored to tie the game at 2 and now gives Cincinnati a 2-goal lead and leaves Bonnie Rosen scratching her head a little bit. I know Coach Rosen really believes in her goalkeeper, Marin Lowell, and in a lot of ways feels like they're going to go as far as she can take them.
That's what it appears to be in terms of the way that this program has developed in the last couple of weeks. And even though they're losing 6-4, I still feel that they're playing pretty well.
Sure. Yeah, Temple's had some great looks early on. In fact, both teams have taken 8 shots. The Bearcats have just put an extra couple of them home. And one of the reasons that Temple has possessed the ball as much as they have, they've taken 7 of the 11 draw controls. Bearcats might be up on the scoreboard, but they've had to play a lot of defense.
A lot of defense. They are working really hard.
Yeah, if you're Temple, I don't think you get too worried here. 2 goals is not really that big a deal, especially this early on. Good work from Hoffman. Looking for someone cutting across. Instead, a soft pass over the top. Good deke. Shot by Giebert. Save from Durso.
Not getting a lot of notes here, but number 11 defensively, Morgan Dukes, one of the defenders, 5'4" sophomore out of Bowie, Maryland, is playing really well on the back end for UC.
Well, she is a first-team all-conference performer for a reason. Plays with so much tenacity on the defensive end of the field.
There she is.
Noss and Milkfeet. Nice spin move by Sam. Absorbs a hit to the head. Play on. Sam couldn't bounce it home. Hits the post and comes free. Just barely missed on the ricochet. But Borzillo on the recovery here. Approaching the 10-minute mark of the first half with the Cincinnati Bearcats, the 2 seed in this year's tournament, but the hosts leading Temple 6-4. Gina Thomas told us that it gave her her team an edge this season. She said, we knew we were going to host at the beginning of the year, and it really helped us in the middle of the season when things weren't going well. Then they ripped off 8 straight wins and 9 wins in a row on their home field. Now, this is the first time they've played on this particular field in 2 years. They've been playing a lot of their home games over at Gettler Stadium here on campus, which is where the soccer team and the track team competes. A lot of that had to do with the renovations to other facilities here in Cincinnati. Good pass, great save. Wow. Donovan in a tight spot let a good shot go, and Lowell was able to be aggressive enough and anticipate the shot well enough to keep it out.
Now the Temple Owls have to convert with the play from Lowell.
Owls haven't scored in a while. Their last goal came at the 16:09 mark, and they've only scored once in the last 15 minutes. 3 of their 4 goals came pretty early. Can hear the UC chants in the crowd.
There was a chance to take a shot there by Bridget Whitaker.
Well, Temple's a pretty unselfish group, and a lot of times they almost make too many passes as they look for the perfect shot. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more aggressive. That time, Hoffman pulls the trigger but misses wide. Shot clock at 25. Lobbed back across. You can't make passes against this defense that don't have full intent behind them. Borzillo clears it for the Bearcats. Racing up the field, lost the ball. But Donovan was there to help her. And then the ground ball picked up by the Owls.
Important pickup for the Owls.
Good work by Nekrasius and Luderitz. Almost feels like a battle of attrition at times. You have to accept the fact that you're going to drop some passes. You're going to have some shots that might not have been drawn up the way you want. This is kind of what you'd hope a 2 versus 3 game is going to be, though, right? I mean,
you kind of hope it's going to be a competitive match. It's going to seesaw here. There's going to be some runs.
Not that you hope 1 versus 4 isn't competitive, but you expect that the separation between these two teams would be pretty minor, and so far that's been the case. They've each taken 10 shots. The Bearcats have scored a couple of extra. We're inside 7 minutes now in the first half. If you joined us a little late, I'm Brendan Gulick along with Mike Walensky and Rich Heide down on the sideline. Championship match is set for 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. The winner of this game plays the Florida Gators, who beat up on Vanderbilt 19-10 earlier this afternoon. Speaking of Rich Heide, let's check in with him.
Hey, Brendan, thanks so much. Just noticing on the sideline how vocal and spirited this Temple team is being. You can hear them from across the field. They are really cheering their team, especially on the defensive end. But it's a pleasure to see just how much this team is grinding towards the end of the season, finishing strong with those 2 straight wins, and really remaining together as a unit here this evening.
They probably feel like they need each other over on the sideline because they're playing in in a road game environment. And with shots like that, you're going to have to come up with other ways to stop them. Alyssa Adams and the Bearcats now lead it 7-4.
Adams has been an X factor in this first half. He's been very good clearing the ball and then coming in offensively, turning and spinning away from the defender, number 10 for Temple, Molly Luderitz, for the goal.
I love the way that Alyssa Adams knew she wanted to shoot right-handed, attacking from that right side. So she ran into the crease deep enough to get Luderitz on her inside hip when she would spin back around and create that shot. It's not an uncommon thing to do, but it's a veteran thing to do. You got to create the good angle. Meanwhile, Lambeth has struggled a little bit here lately on draw controls, even though Temple still has more at this point. That's a blocking foul, even though Temple fans wanted a charge. Baseball team says that's a block all the way. We'll defer to them, right?
Yeah, definitely, and that's a good call. That's a good call. Maddie Giebert, number 3, she definitely was in the way. A little feedback there from the fans on that call.
I think it's the right call because you saw Milkvey not go through Giebert, but trying to step around her.
Tried to spin around
her shoulder. 8-meter free position on the right hash coming. I think Alyssa Adams is going to take it, no? Yep, that's Adams. This is a key spot for Temple. They pretty desperately need a stop here. You don't want to go down by 4 after having this game tied at 4 11 minutes ago. No stop. Adams, her second consecutive goal, and she has a hat trick here in the semifinals.
Alyssa Adams out of York, Pennsylvania. On the right side. This time she goes to the right side of the keeper and scores.
Timeout on the field. What a game by Adams. Career best is 5 goals against Marquette earlier this year. She is really excelling here in her sophomore campaign after scoring 13 goals as a freshman, playing in every game but not getting a ton of starts. Alyssa Adams has been a starter in almost every game this year and a huge piece for Cincinnati offensively. And her hat trick here tonight right now is more than just one of the differences in this game. Everybody focuses on Borzillo and Noss and Milkvey, but you really can't tell the whole story about this Bearcat team without Alyssa Adams.
Yeah, she's been the difference maker in this one, and Marion Lowell, the Temple goalkeeper, second team all conference, is really having trouble with her. She's a game changer right now, putting the Bearcats up 8-4.
Well, and while Cincinnati has scored pretty well throughout the course of the year in general, I mean, they haven't been a unstoppable juggernaut offense, but they've been good. I think it's been more impressive the way they've limited teams. 9 goals or fewer 7 different times this year. And right now, Temple's kind of hit the skids here late in the first half.
And definitely they've done very well defensively. Gave up just 5 points in a win on the road at East Carolina. They beat them 14-5. Knocked out Butler at home 19-6.
Those fans paid for admission. What do you think?
I saw that earlier today. I thought those are great seats. A great place to watch a match here today. I think they might need some.
Those were cheap seats, though. You can only see half the field from that angle.
Yeah, they may need some binoculars too. That's way up there. That's pretty high up.
All kidding aside, it's good to see so much support for the inaugural conference championships here in Cincinnati. Coach Rosen feeling a little bit of pressure here late in the first half. What are the Temple Owls going to do? Of course, Milkvey has been so good this season, and last week, midfielder of the week in the conference.
Now they go to Bridget Whitaker to match up here with Milkvey.
She's done Milkvey's been so good. Lambeth, who's been the typical face-off throughout the year, hasn't been able to get it into Temple's possession. Empty stick check, and it's a Bearcat ball.
A lot of credit to Monica Borzillo there. She did a great job keeping that one alive. Just a little bit extra effort. Got it going for Cincinnati there. That's a big play.
That win Cincinnati had over Temple earlier this year was their first ever win against the Owls. They had lost the handful of prior meetings. And the Bearcats would like to prove here tonight that it wasn't a fluke. Fewer than 5 minutes remaining in the first half. 8-4 Cincinnati. Sweet move by Adams. Doesn't turn into anything, although the baseball team acted like it was the coolest thing they've seen in a long time.
Good job by Temple on that ground ball. Here come the Owls.
Again, it just goes to the point I made earlier. Cincinnati didn't win the regular season championship. Florida did. But the tournament's in Cincinnati. This is a home field advantage for the Bearcats. And if they could find a way to get to Saturday on a weekend, you never know how many people might show up and
anything
support you.
No doubt, anything can happen. And the conditions here on the field could potentially change as well. And you just never know.
Meanwhile, Temple trying to get one back here. Maddie Giebert, who's been as good offensively as anybody in the league, takes command, tries to shovel one in after Durso saved it once. Gebert couldn't connect.
Durso was active with her stick, did a good job of keeping in touch with the ball.
Juliana Durso, nice first half for her. She's given up the 4 goals, but 6 total saves. Anytime you have more saves than goals allowed, you're going to give your chance a pretty good, or I should say, you're going to give your team a pretty good chance. Would make her efforts that much more worthwhile with a Bearcat goal. Shot clock just now at 45. Adams spins, shoots, and scores again.
Adams is feeling it. She's absolutely on fire. 9-4 Bearcats. And again, great distribution of the ball there by the Bearcats. Give a lot of credit to Sam Milkfee, number 23.
Meanwhile, Temple made a goalie change. That was Olivia Martin in goal instead of Lowell. Not sure how long Martin had been in there, but she wasn't able to keep it out. Lowell had a tough start to the game, and it looked like Coach Rosen was hoping that Martin might be able to spark them. That hasn't been the case so far. Olivia Martin has played a lot this year, but not nearly as much as Lowell has. 7 games for her. Started 3 times. Temple winning 2 of those. All of a sudden, 9-4 Bearcats. This was not how this game started. Temple led 3-2. Cincinnati scored a couple. Temple tied it at 4, and then 5 unanswered UC goals. That was good defense. Well, at least I thought it was. They've instead ruled that it stays with Cincinnati. I thought Temple had forced a turnover there. Even though Cincinnati leads by 5, there hasn't been a huge disparity in shots taken. Bearcats only out shooting Temple 13-11. And until late here in the second half, I think Temple's actually had the ball more, although Cincinnati certainly more lately. Things stop in the middle there. I think there's a little bit of frustration. Two minutes and 17 seconds. Tail end of the first half here in Cincinnati. Owls trying to strike here late. We get into the halftime locker room just a little bit closer.
And you have to think in terms of momentum, if they can score here, they'll have a chance to come back in the second half.
Hoffman up top. Gebert to her left. Oh, beautiful pass. Better denial by Durso on the high shot from Abby Oberman. Temple keeps it. Durso's been terrific.
She's been a difference maker so far for the Bearcats in the first half.
Gebert from the point. Shot clock obviously reset on the save, so still lots of time here. You can just barely see that there on the top corner of your screen. Gebert, soft pass behind. Well, a good find in an open space, but Temple couldn't get their stick on it.
The Bearcats are really packing it in around their goaltender, Durso. Not a lot of room to shoot for the Owls.
Overman kept the possession alive. The shot clock and game clock are about, 10 seconds apart here. 49 versus 39 to shoot. So if Temple wanted to, they could hold this for a little bit. Try to avoid giving Cincinnati a chance. Risky high pass. Little dance from Whitaker. It turns into a great shot and a Maddie Giebert goal. Best case scenario for Temple.
That time Giebert slipped over to the right side and found some space. That's a big goal for the Owls if they need to get back in this championship. Good effort.
Well, you need your best players to play well in games like this. Maddie Giebert's been the team's leading scorer all season. She and Olivia Thompson have both had good years. But Giebert, probably the bigger of the focal points, certainly has taken more shots than anybody else. In fact, she's taken twice as many shots as almost everybody on the team, with the exception of just a couple players. So it's 9-5.
Giebert's 30th goal this season.
Only 30 seconds left in the first half. Bearcats trying to tighten it up. Foul called.
And the clock's running. Got to make this quick.
13 seconds for Adams. Up top to Milkfee with 9 seconds. Milkfee takes it. Back to Borzillo, 3 seconds. In front, shot and a save. Good defense by the Temple Owls to milk the end of the first half. A chaotic situation for Olivia Martin, sophomore keeper who only played the last few minutes of the first half. But she's able to come up with a big save late. And Cincinnati's lead is only 9-5 at the end of this first half. Bearcats get a standing ovation as they go to the locker room. Temple has played hard, and frankly, they've played pretty well. They're still very much a part of this game, only down by 4. But it's the Bearcats with the upper hand. Alyssa Adams in particular. How about 4 goals for Alyssa in the first half? Down to Rich Heide, who's standing by with Gina Thomas.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. I'm with the head coach for the UC Bearcats, Gina Thomas. Coach, a very good start, a good way to finish out the half. How do you feel at this point?
There's still a couple things we need to do a little better job of, especially with the draw control of just possessing it off the draw. Really glad we got that last one to have that last possession. But we're playing well. I think we're giving them the looks that we want to give them, and our Durso's coming up big and making some good saves. So we got to just keep putting the ball in the back of the net and stay away from hitting her.
Being an All-American and a former world champion, how much do you think about that and rely on your past success as a player and translate that into coaching?
I don't know how much me winning a World Cup affects the game when you're not on the field, but we definitely game plan, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from playing at the highest level. Like, the elite players are ready to play and know how to make plays, so you just got to be prepared to win.
And then sort of being in unprecedented territory here with the inaugural American Championship, what was your message to the team with the regular season success and then being at home and having this opportunity as well?
Absolutely. We told them a Vince Lombardi quote today where, you know, the man at the top of the mountain didn't fall there. We had to go through a lot of bumps and bruises and a lot of blisters to get to the top of this mountain, and we have a lot to prove today. It's a great moment to live in the moment and cherish it, but also we didn't fall here, so just live in the moment and play up to our potential.
Bumps and bruises, but a good start here tonight. Gina Thomas, head coach for the Bearcats. Thanks, Coach.
The man on the top of the mountain didn't fall there. One of my favorite Vince Lombardi quotes. He's got a whole book of them. 9-5 Bearcats at the break, in large part thanks to the incredible effort from the 4 first-half goals from Adams. Noss had a couple, Borzillo had a couple, but it's the Bearcats' balance and depth that has them closing in on a AAC championship berth. We'll have our halftime coverage coming up momentarily after this timeout. You're watching the semifinals of the American Athletic Conference Women's Lacrosse season here on the American Digital Network.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health.
And promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Bernie scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30!
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
How do you drive impact for 200 years? By doing it boldly. By building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing and believe the status quo was built to be broken. So be proud, be bold, be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are boldly Bearcat.
Discovery. It can come from any direction, in places new and familiar, but often starts from within.
Alyssa Adams, 4 first-half goals for Cincinnati. It's the 3rd time this season she's got at least 4 goals in a game. Her career best early in the year was 5, and she's got Cincinnati out front at halftime in the conference semifinals of championship weekend. We'll continue our halftime coverage when we come back with first-half stats and highlights. Cincinnati 9, Temple 5 on the American Digital Network.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30!
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives. Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
Profanities or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American, power for life.
How do you drive impact for 200 years? By doing it boldly. By building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing and believe the status quo was built to be broken. So be proud, be bold, be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are boldly Bearcat.
discovery. It can come from any direction, in places new and familiar, but often starts from within.
Cincinnati with a 9-5 lead. It was kind of a tight beginning of the first half, but the Bearcats thoroughly controlled the last 17 to 20 minutes. Mike, it really started in the defensive end. Juliana Durso was really good, and then Noss did a great job offensively.
And Cincinnati was very good on the back end defensively, too, along with Durso. And this is a team, the Bearcats, that coming into this contest had not had consecutive wins of conference opponents. So this is a huge step for Coach Thomas's club. And the other thing was that I think is unique as you take a look at their offensive performance today, and again, Durso with a great save, is they really, truly are ahead of projections. They were picked to be 5th in this conference, and look, they're on the verge of knocking out Temple and then making a run to the championship Saturday.
Well, we've shown you several Temple goals, and all 5, in fact, but you might have noticed that several of those came early, and I think that's really where Durso shined, was that she sort of got that out of her system early in the game, and the offense started to pick things up a little bit, and I think everybody just inspired confidence in one another. If you're Temple, you look at this and say, hey, look, we're only down 4. The game certainly is far from over, and they've executed fine. Yeah. They just haven't executed at the same level Cincinnati has. They
haven't scored when they've had the opportunity. Now, the interesting thing is, I think for Temple to make a run in this semifinal, they've got to come out the first 5 minutes, and they've got to show a lot of fire and energy and score at least a couple of goals to knock this margin down. If not, Cincinnati being at home, I think is going to just run right through them unless Temple demonstrates that they can make a stand here early on.
Shy of scoring goals in the first couple minutes of the game, or I should say of the second half, is there someone or something in particular that you're going to look for Temple to know that they came out of the locker room locked in here?
Well, I think what could be interesting is who they start at goalkeeper, because they've got a second-team performer in Marin Lowell, who was pulled out of the contest in the first half. If they can bring Lowell back in there, she's someone that they relied on, and there she is. There she is, and that's very important for her to be in there, because I think that's going to give them a little bit more confidence on the back end.
Lowell had to clear her head a little bit as she struggled early on there. All right, before we get started with the second half, let's check in with Rich Heide.
Hey, Brendan and Mike, thanks so much. What has surprised me the most was just how efficient this UC offense was in the first half. 9 goals on 14 shots, very impressive. Gina Thomas sounded very confident, very comfortable, very relaxed. Her team is certainly ready to go here in the second half.
Unfortunately, didn't have a chance to catch head coach Bonnie Rosen as she was coming out of the locker room, but I imagine her team is going to come out mentally sharp. You kind of don't have a choice. If you don't come out here focused now, you know your season's going to end. So
tell you what, right off the bat, Milvey wanting that draw control is huge, and Duke's coming up field. Cincinnati, right off the bat here in the second half, is starting to gain control this matchup.
Milkfeet back across. Good find in the middle. It was a crowded area, and a nice job by the Owls to jar it free.
Yeah, the Owls did a great job defensively. They jammed in front of that goaltender, Lowell, and came up with a turnover here. And again, that's big. The first couple minutes, they've got to demonstrate that they can take some responsibility in this match and get back in it.
2 goals for Olivia Thompson, leading Temple. Giebert only 1 goal on 4 shots. Hoffman 1 goal on 3 shots. And then, of course, Lambeth had the other one early on.
The only field change right now, and you can tell, their lights are on in the stadium. It's getting darker outside. Don't think it should have much of an effect, but there is a change as far as the competition is concerned.
Yeah, I would certainly think that conditions are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite total darkness here in southwestern Ohio, but close. Lights are beginning to take serious effect.
Adams playing very well defensively too today, not only scoring those goals, but number 30 for Cincinnati in the white, doing a great job marking the offensive player from Temple.
Well, finally a flag thrown on the far side. A lot of Temple Owl patience on the offensive side, but they earn a free position.
Giebert has to convert here, number 3. She's got a good chance.
Giebert on the left hash. Durso one-on-one facing her. Giebert shoots and scores. Big goal for the Temple Owls to get the second half started.
Exactly what they needed to start building and gaining some momentum and try to turn this game around. And a good job by Giebert. Good vision over the left shoulder of the goalkeeper, Durso. 6th goal.
So Maddie Giebert trots back. Of course, she's been pretty much doing that to everybody all year long. First team all-conference performer for a reason. And truly one of the premier attack players in the American here in 2019. Gina Thomas doesn't look too worried, although certainly locked in on what her team is doing.
And Gina said how important the draw control is. And here come the Owls. Whitaker.
Yeah, the Owls finally win a draw control after surrendering the last 5 in a row. So Temple with some momentum. They score an early second half goal and immediately take possession back. Haven't really talked too much tonight about Adriana, Alexandra, and Amanda Fess, the triplets for the Bearcats, who play pretty tough defense. There's a nice interception. Well done by Adriana, or I should say Alexandra Fess. I knew somewhere along the way I was going to trip up on that. They're identical triplets. They wear numbers 19, 20, and 21. It's like they were trying to do that to us. All kidding aside, they are very talented players. And what a compliment. You think about what it means for a family to send not 1, not 2, but 3 of their children. Look, ignore the fact for a moment that they're triplets and sisters. Think about what it might be from a parent's perspective to send 3 of your children to one place and to trust a coaching staff to develop and cultivate the personalities and the futures of their kids. That's a lot of trust, and Gina Thomas certainly doesn't take that lightly.
Yeah, it's a good thing for this club, but also, too, the fact that 3 kids come to the same school says a lot for these kids, because usually the siblings have a lot of arguments. But, oh, what a great pass by Adams and a score.
Well, this has just been an incredible day for Alyssa Adams as she gives one up, and Gianna Napolitano bounces one home to make it 10-6.
Napolitano, the 5'5" junior out of Hillsborough, New Jersey, with the right-hander right in there.
You know what? That was actually Amanda Donovan that had the assist. But either way, Bearcats sharing the ball very well.
Amanda Donovan also quite tall, 5'10". So with Donovan and Noss, you got a 5'10" and 5'11", some size in there for the Bearcats.
Body language from Marin Lowell is frustrated.
Yes.
She's got to find a way to try to inspire her team defensively. Sometimes you feed off the body language of your keeper, whether it's conscious or not. It's important to make sure you still have the same persona all game long, right?
I agree. Body language is incredibly important. And sometimes it's difficult to identify that from an individual standpoint. It takes her teammates to be able to communicate that sometimes, and often, from the coaching staff.
You see our Twitter handle there on the bottom of the screen, American_WLax. You can follow us on Twitter for highlights all night long from this game and for all the updated and latest news and information about all the programs in the league. American_WLax on Twitter. Bearcats lead by 4 pretty early in the second half, and Cincinnati has this offensively.
Speaking about body language, that's one of the things I think coaches do in terms of recruiting kids is to take a look at their body language and how they react in high school athletic events, and particularly talked about it earlier, how they react to adversity. You know, do they put their head down, they walk away, or do they just keep moving forward and competing?
Well, the reality is, if you're going to play this sport, you got to be athletic. It helps to be fast, but you better be gritty and you better be physical.
Yes.
This is not a sport for the faint of heart. You better be a blue-collar kind of player. You better love your team and be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do if you want to win. You got to sacrifice for your teammates. And I think both coaches look up and down their roster and feel like they have players that match those attributes, and that's why both of these programs are, you know, coming together here at the end of the year and playing in the conference semifinals. 14 on the shot clock. The Bearcats have to hurry, and they score. Borzillo makes it 11-6.
Borzillo has been outstanding all season long. One of the top scorers of the NCAA, and that is a huge goal for the Bearcats. But again, nice distribution there by Milkfeet, 23, to clear that ball on the other side.
Only one player in the entire country has more points per game on average than that young woman right there, Monica Borzillo. Averaging just 6 100ths below 6 points per game, 5.94.
That's a big goal because, again, we talked about how important it was for Temple to come out, take control of the second half, to make a run to get back in this one. Now Cincinnati has sort of tempered that, and they're back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's time for Temple to try and kind of get back and reassert themselves out there offensively. Missed pass doesn't help there, but doesn't cost them. Bearcat foul. Gebert passes away. Bearcat fans try to get behind the defense there. Works out well.
Yes, it does. Here they go.
Kylie Noss picks up the turnover in the midfield. Runs all the way up with it. Noss absorbs the foul, and she'll have a free position.
Michelle Kaczynski, number 13, doing a good job trying to defend, but there was some contact.
Freshman of the year in the American spins back away and says, well, let's take a better look.
Smart job. Smart decision to move the ball out. Good effort by Temple defensively.
Look, the Temple Owls are not out of this game. They're only down 5, and they've still got the majority of the second half in front of them. But they've got to get the ball back here. Couple good spin moves. The Bearcats taking their time across the face of the goal there. A little bit of pressure on Taylor Geisen. And it's going the other way. Well done by Courtney Taylor. Back down on the sideline to Rich Heide.
Hey, thanks, Brendan. I think there's no doubt about it. Cincinnati has controlled possession all game long. The shots are relatively even. 16 shots for UC, 14 for Temple. But a big reason that I think UC has been able to control that possession is the student section. They are being incredibly rowdy, incredibly loud. You don't know whether these players are really tuning it out, but I think it's making a difference out here, guys.
You know, again, we touched on it a little bit earlier. It's a strange home field advantage for a team that is not the #1 seed. But the Bearcats aren't complaining. They're happy to have it. They had a great year. And this was a predetermined venue. So even at one loss in conference play, Cincinnati has a chance to play in front of their home faithful.
Noss does a good job of possessing the ball there. And here's the Bearcats once again.
Good job checking that one away. I should say Megan Hoffman. Fast passes ahead. Connects with Kate Carney. Underhand shuffles it. Adams back to the far side. Anytime Borzillo has it in her stick, there's a different kind of exhale offensively. You can tell the Bearcats, okay, best player, most productive player on the team. She's got more than 100 points this year. They trust her with the ball. You can see the way the offense flows around her. It's just a little bit different. Adams with a floated pass. Just wide on the shot from Borzillo. Boy, Temple gambled and it nearly burned him. But you have to try to get the ball back, so I understand it. Amanda Donovan. Adams. It's been an incredible night for her. She almost scores again. Good save.
Pretty nifty with the ball there, spinning through, getting by Whitaker. There could have been a foul there from Temple. Wasn't called.
Just saw it in Lowell's eyes. She is zeroed in on what's going on in front of her and knows how important it is not to give up another goal here. The problem is her defense is wearing down a little bit. Shot clock reset. We're now at 70. And the Bearcats are going to take a little time off. If you're Temple, it's starting to mentally register that you're down 5 with 20 minutes to go. Not insurmountable, but it's getting pretty close to go time here. We get a holding call up top, so Borzillo with an 8-meter coming. She'll take it from straight up top.
Lowell has to make a big play here. She's got to prevent the score.
Borzillo denied. I'm not sure it ever really got to the goal. I think it was knocked away.
Yep, I think Cratius came in, number 11, from behind and deflected the ball.
Borzillo's had a good game tonight, but not a, not a unstoppable, noteworthy night. I mean, she's had 11 points in a game a couple of times this year. Tied the program's single game record after she did it early in the year against Kent State. The ball's being sent back up to the top of the formation. There's Borzillo. But I think her value is not just when she's scoring points. Similar to what we saw from Pareca in the first game when the Florida Gators had it offensively and Pareca had it in her stick. There was a different level of composure. And Borzillo seems to really bring that, where maybe somebody like Kylie Noss, I don't think I'd say she plays with total reckless abandon, but she's more of a commanding physical presence. Borzillo's a little craftier. Poor pass. Temple trying to keep it in play. They cannot.
That's a tough
unforced turnover.
That's really a rough turnover right now for Temple. They need to be efficient as much as they possibly can, down by 5. There's Giebert, and just slipped away from Olivia Thompson, number 21.
Those are the short mental lapses that can really haunt you in games of this magnitude.
I think you mentioned this might be starting to come into play, scoreboard watching, knowing you're down by 5, wearing down a little bit, both physically and mentally.
If you tune in a little bit late, I'm Brendan Gulick with Mike Walensky up in the booth and Rich Heide down on the sidelines. Cincinnati, the 2 seed in the conference tournament, the inaugural American Athletic Conference Women's Lacrosse Tournament. Bearcats finished the year 11-6. They went 4-1 in league play. Temple 6-10 on the season, but they were 3-2 in the conference, and they won their last 2 games of the regular season, including a win over Vanderbilt to get the 3 seed. Lowell makes a save up top. Temple needs to get something going here. 6 goals was probably never going to be enough to win the game, but certainly now that they're down by 5, the offense needs to step on it here.
Karen Necratius really stepped up defensively for Temple there.
How about the open field speed from Morgan Dukes? Was way behind the play and closed down to really pressure that ground ball. Winds are really picking up here in Southwest Ohio with storms coming in later tonight. I don't think the wind is affecting play too much, but you can certainly notice it. Temple right in front. Great job defensively, jarring it free. That was a singular effort by Alexandra Fess, but Temple holds possession. Makes a beautiful pass in front. The shot goes over the top of the bar.
Just couldn't finish that one. Coming on was Whitaker, 27. Temple will re-trigger here.
Owls with 17 to shoot, down a handful. Giebert denied, but fouled. Everybody races for their spots around the arc.
The good news for Temple here, the clock stops at 16:56 officially. And they get a chance.
Durso's had a huge night. That time it was more the team than Durso, but the Bearcats come up with another stop.
And Durso stepped forward a couple steps in front of the goal and came up with a play.
She's got more saves than goals allowed in the game, and her team has a 5-goal lead. Haven't seen too much in the second half from Alyssa Adams after she scored 4 times in the first half. But still an impressive night for her. 3rd time this season she's hit at least 4 in a game. Career high is 5 back against Marquette.
Cincinnati's offense is still moving quite well. They're doing a good job of keeping that ball, as they say, hot. That's important. It's going to give them some opportunities.
Milkfee passed to Borzillo. They just tried so much to keep possession of it. Ended up drawing the foul. Received that pass from Milkfee on the far side. .15:51 left in regulation. Another shot, another goal. The Bearcats have a 12-6 lead.
Amanda Donovan with a big score for the Bearcats, the 5'10 senior out of Ellicott City, Maryland. Went down low.
Donovan has been more of a distributor than a scorer here this evening, but a really nice goal there. We talked about Milkfee a minute ago, and we also referenced, you really want to have blue-collar players. I think Milkfee is maybe the most blue-collar kid, or I should say a blue-collar young lady, I beg your pardon, on the whole team. I mean, she is just an ultra-competitive player, and you can't really coach somebody to want it that bad. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to have that in your belly somewhere, and Milkfee embodies that. In a lot of ways, she's the heartbeat of this Cincinnati program.
She's done really well tonight with draw controls for the Bearcats. Here's another one. Looks like it's another Bearcat win there. Just outstanding play by Milkfee, as you mentioned, and a lot of times you're going to see that out of these kids when they're high school kids, and I think Coach Thomas has done a great job of putting the pieces together.
Milkfee shoots across her body, almost tucked it inside the post. Couldn't quite find the back of the net. Well, Temple gets the big stop. Probably with their hearts beating in their throats a little bit, knowing that it's
crunch time.
Go time, right?
It's go time. It's under 15 minutes. These young ladies really need to put it together now.
Down by 6. There's a big goal.
Man.
How about Giebert? Slicing across the middle, shooting across her body, and she scores.
Giebert taking on her own shoulders, a junior attacker out of Pottstown, PA. It gives the Owls an opportunity. They're down by 5, 12-7.
Well, that was a great little fake. Adriana Fess is usually pretty good on her toes. Giebert just shook her right out of her shoes. Beautiful cut. See Bonnie Rosen looking on. I'm sure she's happy to have scored a goal, but realizes there's still a lot of work to do here. Milkvi's been pretty good in the draw control. Bearcats have now won 11 of the 20 draw controls. They'll redo this one. Milkvi able to pick it up. Nice crafty play. Now as the Bearcats bring it up the field, let's go back down on the sideline with Rich Heide.
Mentioned just the play of Juliana Durso. She's been truly impressive. She's allowed 12 goals per game entering here tonight, but in this game, just over half that with that last one. So she has been a true stone wall for this UC team. And then also Monica Borzillo heating up a little bit. 3 goals now. Entered this game with over 100 points on the season, 101 entering here tonight. First team All-AAC player, and that is why this team currently has a 5-goal advantage.
Thanks, Rich. Adams back in front, trying to bounce one through that left side. Couldn't quite tuck it in there. Well, we've sung Borzillo and Durso's praises all night, no doubt, and for good reason. But you have to think those were probably the 2 players at the top of Temple's scouting report, right? I mean, Durso is a terrific keeper, and Borzillo isn't going to sneak up on anybody with the numbers that she's put up this year. And plus, the 2 teams have played against each other, so, you know, they've got some tape on one another. But I think both coaches would tell you it's less about trying to stop their opponent and more about trying to execute their own game plan at a high level. You can see Bonnie Rosen a little frustrated with the fact that her team isn't executing at that level right now. Great save by Lowell there. Owls staying alive.
They need to execute efficiently here as you go down the finish line.
Good passing in the middle. A good look into the crease. That's where Temple's been just a little bit off, though. They've made several good passes building up the play. They haven't been able to make enough of those closing passes that turn into great shots right on the doorstep. Most of the time in the women's game, you don't see a lot of shots come from well outside, right? The vast majority of shots are taken inside, well, I would say 2-3 meters of the goal. And a free position coming here. And so with that being the case, I mean, Mike, you've got to find ways to accurately pass in tight windows. And Cincinnati's defense plays well enough that it only has tight openings, but free position goals like that one from Giebert can really help.
And the ability to attack, which Giebert did. This woman has done a great job on the field tonight. She is carrying her club back into this contest. They've got to be productive, and there it is. And now it's just a 4-goal margin at 12-8.
All right, Temple starting to scratch and claw their way back in it. Again, there's still a lot of time left at 12:33. And you can see that the Owls are trying to stay positive despite the fact they're down 4. This game is far from over. Where has Temple been better here in the second half?
I think it's been at the keeper position. I think the goalkeeper's done a much better job, Marin Lowell, and lately, as we talked about, they've attacked, and they've drawn a couple fouls, and they've gotten some scoring opportunities. And if they keep doing what they're doing, we're going to have a very interesting finish here at UC, because nobody wants to lose, and they're going to leave it all on the field right now. It's now or never.
It's been a much more defensive second half after we saw a total of 14 goals in the first half. We're definitely behind that pace. Each team with 3 goals apiece since halftime. If you're Cincinnati, even though there's a brief stoppage on the field, if you're Cincinnati, are you trying to just go out there and run out the clock as much as you can, or are you trying to stay aggressive on that offensive end? I guess what I'm asking is, do you think 12 goals will be enough?
I don't think so. I think, to me, looking at Cincinnati the last couple of minutes, it looked like they really decided to slow things down, and they became uncomfortable. Get back to what you do best. Attack, be aggressive, and try to finish. They were not able to finish a few times, potentially because offensively they just kind of got bogged down just a little bit. I don't think it's time right now to slow things down.
I'm sure all those guys are looking at their phones and looking at the highlights from our game on the American Athletic Conference Twitter handle, American_WLAX. Not just highlights from this semifinal, but from ones earlier on as well. You can follow us too. We'll keep you updated with everything you need to know, including information at the end of the night leading up to our championship final on Saturday at 1 o'clock. The Florida Gators and the winner of this game will meet as we crown the first ever conference champion in less than 48 hours from now. There's head coach Mandy O'Leary of the Florida Gators. Obviously, everybody in conference plays each team once, so there's no big surprises come conference tournament time. And if you're Florida, you just saw Cincinnati last week. Florida played Temple a little bit earlier on. They played them back on March 30th.
Temple is doing a much better job in draw controls now, getting themselves in a position to make a run.
You know, the game can flip in such a big way if you can just take draw controls and get possession. I mean, it truly can be as simple as that. And for a team that's down 4 with 12 minutes to go, you need possession in a big way.
Wow.
Defense, Milkfeet picks up another ground ball.
That's a very difficult turnover for Temple, but they come back.
Yeah, that's where the Owls have been so good this year. Stays with Temple. Second whistle against the Bearcats.
That's Alexandra Fest, number 20 for Cincinnati.
Great defense. Boy, is anybody more locked in than Morgan Dukes on the defensive end? I mean, this young lady plays with so much energy. She invites that contact. Wants you to come right at her.
She's got great footwork too.
Good play in the midfield.
That could have been the play of the game on the back end there, that turnover that was created as Temple was starting to create a lot of momentum getting back into this match.
Noss has had a little bit of a quieter second half. I think she had a lot of possession early in the game Probably because Borzillo had drawn so much attention right from the outset. And so Noss and then Adams in particular were really effective. But in the second half, Borzillo's found a way to shine brightest. Adams has not scored in the second half. Bearcats have been held off the board now for almost 6 minutes. And Noss was fouled. Cincinnati led the game 12-6 with 15:50. But Temple's done a good job of trying to stop the bleeding a little bit, keep it tight. Marin Lowell's going to need another big save. Noss shoots up top, just over the top of the bar.
Firing on the far post. Cincinnati re-triggers.
I think that was a pass that turned into a shot because nobody really got it cleanly.
Not only the last couple minutes has Temple's offense been productive, but their defense has equally been real good for this women's team. They're doing a great job.
Chance for Bridget Whitaker here. Drawing a lot of attention from Melissa Adams. And it goes back to Cincinnati.
First opportunity from Giebert that she missed. A little bit high and wide.
Empty possession for Temple. And now they're inside 9 minutes. This game at one point was tied at 4 midway through the first half. And Cincinnati scored 5 goals in a row. Bearcats took a 9-4 lead. Temple got one with less than a minute to go in the first half. Made it 9-5 at the break. And since halftime, it's been pretty tight. Owls have been able to get it back to 3, but no closer than that. 8 minutes to go. Cincinnati Bearcats, best season in program history, and frankly by a lot, as Noss just misses wide right.
Noss with a lot of length there. Took a pass well over her head, did a great job of pulling it out of nowhere.
Good pass by Noss, almost finished in front, but Donovan couldn't shove one inside the cage because Lowell made a terrific save. I mean, she really tried to force it inside that right post, but Lowell covers it up.
Lowell has been really good in the last 3 or 4 minutes. As you take a look at number 9, Monica Borzillo, got a little shot right in the stomach.
I think she got the wind knocked out of her. Borzillo's coming off. Let's go back down to Rich Heide for a minute. Well, working through it. We'll get down to Rich in a moment. There's Borzillo. The good news is she's laughing. I really think she just kind of got the wind knocked out of her a little bit. Thankfully, that appears to be all it was. One more look at it, far side. She may have taken an elbow there as she was knocked over to the right. Meanwhile, Kimmy Weinstock didn't choose to go at the goal. So Temple pulls it out. Now they're down 4 with inside of 6 minutes to go. It's 6:35 left in regulation. Let's head down to Rich.
Hey, Brendan, thanks so much. You alluded to this earlier, but how about the game of runs? This game started out 3-3. UC jumped up 6 goals to 2 to score 9 at the half. And then ever since then, it has been all Temple. Temple is up 5-3 since then. A big reason why Maddie Gebert, 4 goals in this game, approaching 40 on the season. first team all AAC, and then also we talked about UC 9.
Apologize for some of the technical difficulties we're working through down on the sideline, but Rich was alluding to the game that Maddie Giebert's having, especially here in the second half.
He's done very well, although Temple's come up with, I believe, 3 empty possessions in the last couple minutes.
Wow, and they give one up on the other end. It's Kylie Noss. The freshman makes it 13-8 Bearcats.
Cincinnati taking advantage of opportunities available to them. There's a nice pass by the Bearcats, number 28, Taylor Geisen, and the left-handed finish by Noss.
There's only 5:41 left in regulation. When these two teams played the first time around, it was a similar game. Final ended up being 12-9, but the rhythm and the flow of the game was pretty similar. The game was played here in Cincinnati, and I think in some ways this is how the Bearcats like to play. They kind of like to grind out games against you. They don't end up on either end of running clocks very often. They never really find themselves, at least not too frequently, up or down by 10 goals. And so it forces you to not lose any mental edge. Right now that Cincinnati lead is back to 5. It's been as many as 6. Play resumes with just less than 6 minutes remaining. And a nice job by Temple sophomore Bridget Whitaker. It's a foul on the Bearcats. It's on Adams. Temple needs to score 5 goals, and they've got just over 5 minutes to do it. A denial there of Lizzie Frederick. Whitaker can't elude the defense. Adriana Fess one-on-one against her. Great shot and a Temple goal. Boy, quick work. Giebert puts one home.
Nice pass.
Exactly what Temple needed.
Yes, exactly. Because the last goal that Cincinnati scored sort of took the wind out of them. Gives them just a little bit of hope. This is Whitaker. Nice pass to Giebert with the right side. Flushed it right through.
Can't run around the defense and pass your way around it. It was a nice job by Whitaker and Giebert working in tandem with one another. So it's 13-9 with 4:56 to play. Both coaches trying to rely on their upperclassmen here late in the game. You need leadership in moments like this. Obviously, Maddie Giebert's done it all year. Borzillo only a junior as well, but she's a steady presence. Milkvy's been pretty darn good at draw controls this year. She's having a really nice game. But Temple wins this draw. Here come the Owls. Down 4, 4:52 to go. Weinstock circles back up top. A low pass. Zinkel. I guess a free position on the other side. Is that what they're calling for? Yeah, it'll be an 8-meter. Clock stops at 4:27 for a minute. Bearcats look a little perplexed, but they have to quickly put that behind them. Zinkel. Just over the top of the bar. Good shot, but it goes back the other way. Cincinnati has a chance to run some time off here.
Big stop for the Bearcats here.
Good stick check. Temple gets it back. Bridget Whitaker, well done. Now Abigail Ryan, the freshman from Princeton, New Jersey. Helps bring it across. Temple Owls hoping their season will not end tonight. They need some late magic. Durso with another denial. 3.5 minutes to go.
Another empty possession for Temple. Cincinnati coming up with big plays.
Morgan Dukes has really stood out to me tonight. Her play on the defensive end, incredibly impressive. For the first time in a while here, we're going to get a card. That was not a clean check for Maddie Giebert. Bearcat fans are starting to taste it as Giebert heads off.
Yeah, it's a tough penalty too because you've got 3:12 left and a man down. You see the contact.
Well, and on top of that, Cincinnati gets a fresh clock to work with. We have a 90-second clock and just over 3 minutes to go. It's not over yet, but Cincinnati has things in hand right now.
Earlier at the 9, 10-minute mark, 12-minute mark, I thought UC needed to attack the goal, become aggressive. Now they can milk the clock down.
Championship game set for Saturday at 1. The selection show, by the way, is Sunday evening at 8 o'clock as UC has a free position. It'll be Jade Sains. The winner of the conference championship gets an automatic bid. And the loser will have to hope that they get an at-large bid. And there are not many of them. A good low shot from Sains, but a better save. Apparently the Bearcats were able to scoop it up ahead of time. And with that fresh clock, it's at 86 now with 2:18 to play.
Time is beginning to be a factor.
Cincinnati Bearcats have taken their program to new heights this year. First postseason appearance in program history. And they're trying to close out a big win here on their home field and set a date and a rematch with the Florida Gators, who beat them in the regular season finale fairly handily. But Cincinnati trying to just take things one at a time, and tonight they've had the upper hand.
Coach Thomas said in the pregame that if the Bearcats could score between 16 and 18 goals, they'd be in good shape against Temple. To take a look at her, and tonight it's been 13.
They haven't quite gotten to that same level. The Bearcats have been limited quite a bit in this second half. They've only scored 4 times since halftime. And frankly, at 13 goals are just barely below their season average. But it's Temple that has struggled a little bit ever since a hot start. Final minute 20. The Bearcats starting to taste it. They realize they're bound for the championship match on Saturday afternoon. Another ball scooped up by Dukes, and she helps clear it up the field to Kate Carney. Final minute as Cincinnati calls timeout. .6 on the clock. Obviously the Bearcats are in a really good spot here, and so I think this timeout, Gina Thomas is just trying to talk through some of the teaching points late in the game and making sure you take care of possessions. not to get sloppy, not to give things away. And obviously this team had a kind of a bumpy up and down road early and midway through the year. But with 8 straight wins prior to losing to Florida, they've proven they've learned how to close games out. But Mike, postseason play is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it has a different feel to it. Different sense of urgency for these clubs. Coach Thomas said that she's rebuilding their program to another level, and there's no doubt about it. To win this match today puts this women's team in the championship, which is ultimately the next level.
Meanwhile, Bonnie Rosen's group has fought really hard tonight. Looks like they're probably going to be on the wrong side. Draw controls 12 apiece. Cincinnati, 13 goals, 29 shots, 23 shots on goal. Temple, 9 goals on 23 shots, 17 on goal. Pretty balanced effort by the Bearcats. 4 first-half goals from Alyssa Adams. Definitely stole the show. Juliana Dursos played exceptionally well, coming up with some big saves.
Probably the difference maker is Durso, because Temple just had too many empty possessions, and a lot of it was due to Durso's performance.
Clock stops briefly at 51, and now continues to run. We've got a 12-meter free position coming. 43.1 seconds. Well, been kind of a sloppy end to the game, and certainly Temple is trying to get the ball back, right?
They're still
got to
battling.
quickly get it back, and they don't have much choice other than to try and be physical. If you give up another goal, it doesn't really matter at this point. Oh, good job offensively by UC. That's an underrated play by Alexandra Fess. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but coaches notice those kinds of things for sure. Only 20 seconds remaining. MVP tonight's going to be Alyssa Adams. 4 goals on 7 shots. Picked up a ground ball. And she had 4 draw controls. Adams with 4 goals, all in the first half. Helped UC build a lead that it would never relinquish. Without Adams, we'd still be tied. But she was the difference tonight as the clock hit zeros. It's all over in Cincinnati. The Bearcats, for the first time in program history, will play for a conference championship. Cincinnati with a big win. Bearcats go to 12-6 on the season. Temple falls to 6-11. We'll wrap it up when we come back. Cincinnati 13, Temple 9, the final tonight. Catch Gina Thomas when we return on the American Digital Network.
How do you drive impact for 200 years? By doing it boldly. By building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing and believe the status quo was built to be broken. So be proud, be bold, be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are boldly Bearcat.
Bernie scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Cueto from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Cincinnati with a 13-9 win over the Temple Owls in the semifinals tonight. And they've got a date set with the Florida Gators for a conference championship. Let's go down to the sideline with our winning coach, Gina Thomas, standing by with Rich Heide.
Thanks, Brendan. Here I am with Gina Thomas, the winning coach for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, Coach, what would it mean just to this program to be able to win this conference championship and even to appear there? It's just an amazing feeling, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Right now, I am just enjoying this one. Really proud of this team. To beat a team like Temple twice in one season is a great feat. We've come so far, and I'm just so proud of the hard work they put in for us to get here.
It seems like Durso and Dukes defensively just really neutralized this Temple team in the second half. How would you judge their performance?
I mean, they're both All-Americans. They're both All-Americans in their own right. Durso played big today. Morgan Dukes with just her hustle after loose balls and just gaining possession. But I'll tell you what, a kid like Alyssa Adams having the points that she had on the board and not being named to this conference just is telling about what we have within this program.
Absolutely, and then you guys just played Florida last week. I'm sure a lot of learning lessons, but this is a whole new ball game. You talk about being able to compete for a conference championship. Your team's going to be ready. What message do you have for that game, and how will you adjust?
You know, I told them that it's any given day, and it's Saturday, so it's any given Saturday. We got to show up. We're going to watch some film and learn from that. Florida's a really stinking good team, and they were on their turf, so it makes it a little bit more level with us being at home and having our crowd behind us. But right now, again, like I said, I'm just going to let this one sit, and then tomorrow I'll get back to the drawing board and figure out how we can put a game plan together as a coaching staff to beat a really, really solid team in Florida.
Gina Thomas heading to the conference championship against Florida. Just one more game to go. Congratulations.
Mutual respect for sure as we go back down to the field with Alyssa Adams.
Thanks so much. Alyssa Adams, 4 goals. You were really on a roll tonight against the Temple defense that has been pretty good this season. How was that?
It was awesome. You know, we just really focused on placing the shots this week and getting it around the goalie. So just worked as a team. My team got me the ball, and I got them the ball. We just worked together.
What about playing at home here? You were able to take advantage of the home site, and now you're just one game away from a conference crown. But what did it mean playing at home and against with a pretty rowdy student section as well?
Yeah, that was awesome. This was actually my first time playing in the Shakely Athletic Center because we've had the bubble up. So we've been over on Gettler, so it meant a lot to win our first conference game on this field.
And then you guys are up against Florida, a really tough team. I'm not sure if you watched that game beforehand, but what's your plan of attack to beat a team like that?
You know, they're a great team, and we're just going to have to play together as one unit, one cohesive unit, and not let ourselves get down if we do get down by a couple goals, but just keep that positive mentality and stay Bearcat strong and keep it green, try to get after it.
Alyssa Adams, the player of the game tonight, 4 goals. You had a great game. Congratulations and good luck.
Yeah, she played her heart out, and what more can you possibly ask for, Mike, than to play with that much tenacity at the biggest time of the season. This is what you play for. You want a chance to win championships. And Alyssa Adams, who Coach mentioned was not named on the conference all-conference team, played like an all-conference player tonight. So there's your updated bracket. Florida and Cincinnati, Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Your final thoughts?
Well, the first thought is how much it means to these young women and the coaching staffs that prepared these teams for this championship. And you can tell that Coach Thomas was extremely emotional relative to her team coming up top today against Temple. The other thing, you look at UC's program, this is the first time they've ever beat Temple. They beat them twice this year. They hadn't done it before. It's quite an accomplishment for the Bearcats, and they know they've got their work cut out for them against Florida on Saturday, but I think both teams are willing and ready to play for a title.
How about Durso? 8 saves tonight. She was magnificent. Once Cincinnati took the lead after the game was tied at 4, the Bearcats never relinquished it. So Cincinnati on their way to their first conference championship appearance in program history, but they're going to have to play against the number 1 seed, the Florida Gators, Saturday at 1 o'clock. For Rich Heide down on the sideline, for Mike Walensky up in the booth, and for our entire production crew, I'm Brendan Gulick. Good night from the Shakely Athletic Center in Cincinnati. The Owls and the Commodores have been eliminated, which means the Gators and the Bearcats will play for a conference crown in the inaugural playing of the Women's Lacrosse AAC Championships. See you Saturday, everybody.